Have you ever come across a piece of writing that feels like so much more than just words on a page? That's what we're diving into today. We're looking at one of Japan's most beloved poems, Amanimo Makezu, or Not Losing to the Rain. It's a short poem, but wow, it outlines a complete and powerful philosophy for how to live a meaningful life.
Right from the get-go, the poem hits you with these famous, iconic lines, and they set a very specific tone. This isn't about fighting back or being aggressive, it's about something deeper, a kind of quiet, unshakable endurance against the forces of nature. It's almost like a mantra, a simple, rhythmic chant of resilience.
You know, for so many people in Japan, this is way more than just a piece of literature. It's practically a moral compass. Kids learn it in school, and adults really revere it. So that begs the question, right? What kind of life does this poem actually describe? Let's break down its core philosophy.
So the poem really builds its philosophy on a few key pillars. And the very first one is all about forging this unshakable inner strength, a spirit that can withstand literally anything the world throws at it.
It starts so simply, with the rain. Think about it. The rain is this constant, sometimes gentle, sometimes driving force. The ideal person doesn't try to fight it. They simply don't lose to it. They endure.
Then right after the rain, it adds the wind, which is unpredictable, right? It can be powerful and chaotic. So this adds another layer to that idea of resilience. It's not just about weathering a steady storm, it's about staying grounded when everything feels totally up in the air.
And finally, it just pulls it all together, encompassing the extremes of every single season. The biting cold of winter snow, the oppressive heat of summer. The message here is crystal clear. This is a spirit built for all seasons, for all hardships, with absolutely no exceptions.
So you see what's happening here, right? The poem is laying down the absolute foundation. It starts with having a strong body, sure, but that physical strength is really just there to support something much, much deeper, this incredible inner fortitude. This unshakable spirit is the bedrock that the entire philosophy is built on.
Now, what's so interesting is how the poem pairs that immense internal strength with a life of profound humility and simplicity. This strength isn't for showing off, It's for living quietly and correctly.
And this isn't some vague, abstract idea. The poem gets super specific, laying out the practical details. We're talking about a simple diet, a gentle demeanor, and making a conscious choice to live without causing friction, a life of deliberate modesty. The poem uses a key concept, which we can translate as being unfettered or free from desire. And this is huge. It's not just about living with less stuff. It's about achieving a state of mental freedom from the constant wanting and worrying that drives so much of modern life. And this whole pillar of simplicity, it all culminates in this incredibly powerful directive. It's the ultimate act of humility. But it's not about self-loathing. It's about decentering your own ego to make space for the needs of others. That was a radical idea back then, and it's maybe even more so now.
Okay, so we have a person with incredible inner strength and a deep commitment to a simple, humble life. But so what? What's the point? Well, the third pillar shows us that this inner state has to be expressed through selfless, tangible action.
And notice the direction here. This ideal person doesn't just wait for trouble to find them. They actively go out in every direction looking for ways to help. And this journey of service begins in the East, with an act of gentle care for the most vulnerable among us.
The journey then continues to the West, and here, the service is physical. It's about literally shouldering another person's burden. It's about recognizing exhaustion in others and offering your own strength to help ease their labor. In the South, the service becomes emotional and spiritual, and this is maybe the most difficult task of all, to face mortality with someone and tell them there's no need to be afraid. It takes an immense amount of courage and empathy to do that.
And finally, to the north, this person becomes a peacemaker. They see conflict and arguments not as some drama to watch, but as a waste that needs to be stopped, gently guiding people away from these destructive disputes.
And this really gets to the core purpose of the poem. That strength and simplicity aren't just for you. They're the tools that enable a life of active 360-degree compassion. It's a life that's measured entirely by what you give away.
So after all this resilience, this simplicity, and this selfless service, what's the reward? What's the ultimate goal? Well, the poem's conclusion is perhaps its most surprising and profound part.
And here, the poem just completely rejects the typical motivations that drive public life.
It's not about seeking praise, because that just makes you dependent on other people's approval. And it's not about fearing blame, because that just paralyzes you. The ideal is to be utterly free from both.
This reveals that the reward isn't fame or recognition or even respect. The ultimate goal is to be so effective in your service, so unconcerned with your own ego, that you become almost invisible, a quiet, beneficial presence in the world, a nobody. And this is the final, powerful twist. The entire poem, this grand description of an ideal human being, it isn't a boast. It's not the author saying, "This is who I am." It's a humble, deeply personal aspiration. It's a prayer. It's a goal to strive for every single day.
And we'll just leave you with that question to think about. In our world of personal branding and public validation, what place is there for this quiet ideal of selfless, unnoticed service? What would it take, and what would it really mean to truly want to become such a person?